Hi and welcome to Tathastu. My name is Bhardwaj and I welcome you all. This is the first episode of Tathastu. And in this podcast series, we're trying to explore and curate Indic wisdom, ancient Sanatan Dharm's wisdom, and find people and experts who have devoted their lives towards the cause. And one such gentleman here with me, all the way from Bangalore, is Mr. Krishna Prakash. Welcome, sir.
Namaste. Namaste. So that's a great privilege to be part of the first episode. So deeply grateful for that opportunity. And all this credit actually goes to our tradition and the living systems to which all of us in India are connected in one way or other. We normally know that by Sampradaya, our Guru Sampradaya. Without them, I think no knowledge transfer could have taken place for centuries. So whatever I feel you are offering is just a continuation of that knowledge in the new space of audio and video, which was only confined to one-on-one or one with others in the campus. So that's a great privilege to be part of this. And whatever credit is completely due to the grace of the masters of all the living traditions. So with that note, personally met, in fact I should say my teacher met in 1997, because I still understand even today what our tradition says, that we cannot identify a teacher. A teacher only can identify us. So in 1997, when I was a student at Sringeri Mutt's Management College in Delhi, is where I met my teacher. And he doesn't want to come out in open, but I address him as Master Shri. And he went on to serve in government in various capacities. In his mid-30s, his immediate guru, Swami Purnanandanatha of Sri Sailam, who is the grand disciple of Bhagavan Nityananda of Ganeshpuri, asked him to come out of active corporate life and be an example of how to shine in both sides, spiritual and the so-called material lives, by sharing the wisdom enshrined in the scriptures in a way which can be understood and applied by the coming generation. So since the year 2000, he has been sharing this wisdom non-stop for the last 24 years to a group of seekers. And because he wishes to maintain that anonymity, this is all I can share about him in this moment. And it is because of him and his guidance, whatever Shrimat has grown, and it's completing 13th year on March 31st this year. It's due to the blessings. We started this yoga school in his home, which he constructed for himself, but he had to leave to Delhi back. So the entire seed was sown by the tradition. And then he sent me to Bihar School of Yoga in the year 2009. That is after a 12 years apprenticeship with him. He said it's time for me to get certified, because people in the modern day, they wish to see whether someone is certified before they go and study. So that is the reason. And I was very fortunate to be in the vicinity of Swami Satyananda Saraswati, because that is the year also he took Samadhi in the month of December. So twice I was blessed to study there and was guided by Yoga Kanti Saraswati. She's an Australian, direct disciple of Swami Satyananda. In Asana, Pranayama, Mudra, Kriya, Bandha and Yoga Nidra, she is my teacher, official teacher. And was guided by Swami Satya Sangananda during that time. I also studied with Swami Karma Karuna and Swami Mukti Dharma. They taught me Antarmauna, Prana Vidya. So this is all happened in the year 2009. And since then, lot has happened. And today we have grown to develop a system of Yoga Nidra based on Swami Satyananda's tradition on our own, wherein in a graded approach from a 12 minutes to 1 hour Yoga Nidra, we have the bandwidth to offer. So all due to the grace of the masters. So that is in a nutshell. Before this, I was part of 2 startups in IT. I have been an associate faculty at the Xavier's Institute in Bangalore. I had run my own ventures of training and placement for a couple of years. So exactly last 20 years, I'm in this field of studying and sharing knowledge on Yoga Vedanta. That's it.
That sounds very profound. And yes, the Sampradaya and the grace of masters, nothing can happen without that. I'll just share a very quick anecdote. it might mean nothing to a lot of people, but to those who can identify with the idea. I quit smoking last year in August, and that was about 5 years of very chain smoking. And I wanted to quit for a long time. I tried everything that I could. I tried patches, Nicotex, medicines. I even tried locking myself in the house for several days so that I wouldn't go out and purchase. Nothing worked. But I had this very profound desire to quit. So then one day I left it to my guru, to my spiritual guru, Om Swami. I just told him that it sounds very silly that I'm asking your help in this. It's such a trivial and stupid matter, but I'm not able to do it, so I just leave it to you. And then I found someone like on LinkedIn, believe it or not, and he ran a 3-day workshop. And I had attended so many workshops before that, so many books, so many workshops, so many people. But this time I knew that this is the divine sign that I just need to go through it and it'll be done. And I quit. 6 months. And so I knew that nothing at all moves without the divine grace or the blessing or the intervention. So I really respect and completely believe in what you're saying. We're sitting here face to face, almost face to face, and carrying on the tradition of our respective lineages, knowledge, paramparas. It's beautiful. All the nadiyan, all the rivers come together in the ocean.
Yes.
Right. I think you shared that post the other day.
Yes.
Yes, a wonderful, beautiful post. The entire article is so beautiful. The Scottish waves talking to each other about their individuality.
Yes.
And so, on that note, I'll take you to stuff that most people are interested in. The transformative power of yoga for an ordinary human being. Consider it like an escalator pitch. That why you? Why? I mean, if I am an investor and you're in Shark Tank, let's say, and you come with this idea of Srimad Yoga, why you? Why? How does it work? Is it just an idea? Is it just a fad? Does it require? These are all the questions that a lot of people think about. I'm sure you must have heard all these things. That when you mention yoga, I've lived in England 8 years, and when you say yoga, they say, oh, flexibility, right? Even in our country, a lot of people are like, okay, yoga, oh, it takes a lot of time. Oh, yoga, oh, is it as good as strength training? Okay, yoga, I don't think I'll be able to do it. Or is it, good enough to have any transformation in your body without spending years? So we are living in a world full of quick, transformative expectations. So what do you say to that?
Recently, I was part of a private meeting with the great living master of India on behalf of Indian Yoga Association. This happened in January. During the meeting, one of his key teachers was also present, and he mentioned that a great sports person who India worships had a particular issue with his joints and movements in the upper body, and they had taken steroids, they had taken injections, they had tried all sorts of physiotherapy and training. And when this was brought to the notice of this great master, the master asked them to do simple movement techniques and told what has to be taught. And we were astonished to see, because we know both the master and the sports person, but for privacy we have to maintain. Within 2 days, the need of injections were not there, and that gentleman went back to his old ways of making the country happy. And when we spoke in detail, it appears that all the great masters who brought yoga in this generation to the world have been always speaking about loosening exercises, which Swami Satyananda popularized as Muktasan-Series. So in today's day and age, if someone can practice Muktasan-Series, which is 34 postures divided into 3 groups, first 17 are anti-rheumatic, then 8 you have for your digestive system, and the 9 for your energy block release. So when they do these 34 exercises, even before starting their sun salutation, it serves as a great reminder that how body is a wonder. So when people approach yoga as only asana, the effect may take some time to reflect on the body. But people should understand body is just a gross reflection of your mind, which is the subtle. The work starts in the mind. So when people start any practice, they have to practice it as a system. So when we take yoga as a system, there are many Ashtanga yoga systems in yoga, but the masters have kept Patanjali's Ashtanga yoga as the primary system. There is an Ashtanga yoga system by Tirumular, which is extraordinary literature in Siddha literature in the south. But Patanjali's yoga system has been kept because Patanjali doesn't speak about any process. The traditions of the time will design and teach the processes required by people to realize the yoga principles elucidated by Patanjali. That is how our system works. There, unless a person starts with yama niyama, which are like the foundation of a home, then they proceed to practice asana, pranayama in parallel. That prepares them to enter the portals of the mind through withdrawal practices. In withdrawal practices, they understand their limitations and how senses can be utilized well. Then the mind becomes qualified to concentrate, which is the sixth limb, which is dharana. When sense control and mind control happen naturally by understanding, the mind slips into japa and then to dhyana. And samadhi is like a fruit ripening on the plant. The same plant can have many mangoes, right? Ripening happens as per one's own prarabdha and Guru Kripa. So if yoga or any system can be practiced completely, not only one aspect, then the results will be there right from the 7th or 8th day itself. So this is what I can tell, that the main USP, or if yoga has to be pitched and taken to a lot of people by any yoga teacher or a yoga studio or a yoga school, I would tell them first graduate from a studio or a style to become a full-fledged yoga school. And the founder or the team should be practicing these things for some years. It is not that you do a 27-day certification and tomorrow you walk out as a yoga teacher. You can't do that. So it goes in 12-year cycles, correct? So whoever wants to do and create a difference in themselves and others need to invest. My basic idea is 12 years. You study schooling for 12 years, first standard to 12th standard. Then you call, I finished my schooling. By studying LKG and UKG is not schooling. So that is the reason why many of them are feeling, is this a fad, or is it just another gimmick, or in the name of ancient wisdom because it is in the vogue, people are peddling it. No. Though both the learners and the teachers need to know we are here for a long haul. And second point, they should know that they have only control over the process. The results will take care based on the intention and the prarabdha of both the teacher and the student. The same process may give great results to a student, for another student it may not. So both should understand the role of prarabdha, correct? And then they have to pick up something which they can connect. So the beauty is, if someone is having, say, I want to practice only one pranayama technique, I will do only sun salutation, it is fine. As long as you become a master of that one process, to enable it, naturally you will start to learn the entire system. So this is the approach I would say anyone aspiring to even start a yoga school or become a yoga teacher, or any teacher or any venture, they should be ready to put in that hard work. And even Malcolm Gladwell speaks about the 10,000 hour rule. Anders Ericsson, who developed that rule as part of the research team, mentions the need of a mentor. So people should find a mentor who has done and dusted it. So this is in a nutshell about how we can go about deriving benefit from yoga as a system.
Absolutely. So I understand your concerns about the lack of teachers who have spent enough time and energy in understanding yoga themselves first. So yes, that's a very good point, because there are suddenly so many yoga teachers around with those 4-week certifications happening in Rishikesh or Chennai. And so I think that again comes from what you mentioned. People understand yoga is just asanas. So you understand the 84 asanas, and you learn them by heart, and that's it. You've become a yoga master. I recently edited last year a book written by a yoga teacher practicing internationally. And I was a little surprised by the lack of knowledge. Even when I was editing the book, and I'm no master, but even from the common sense perspective, it was quite clear that the person was teaching yoga and a lot of people relying upon that teacher. And the holistic understanding, which even I think it's part of our culture, we understand yoga as something yoga. That was missing. It was just like the Western style of exercising or fitness programs. You add this, and here you go. So different parts coming together, you do this. The essence, the spiritual essence, and the cultural symphony of what a teacher who spent time like yourself, that is missing. And that's why one of the reasons that when I was excited when I looked at your programs, looked at what you're trying to do, and how with Tathastuh I'm also trying to do that bring out that pure, authentic, paramparic knowledge that's coming from the lineages. It's not coming from a handful of books or internet sites or putting together a treatise from here and there. It is being handed down, time tested, and then, like you said, it's cooked in a vessel of culture and spirituality. Then it becomes ready. So we really need more people all over the country, and that's probably one of your mission. And yes, we'll try to do that with the Tathastuh. Let's move on to another part which is very interesting. Can you tell us certain misconceptions or ideas about yoga that frustrate you the most? People talk about yoga and people talk about the whole idea, and the most common 2 or 3 ideas, like it happens in every tradition. Now I'm a publisher, writer, so a lot of people think that all it takes is just write your book and you'll become Chetan Bhagat. So, and most people believe that actually, that all they need to do is just write it and that's it. So, or you build it and people gonna come. So there are misconceptions, big, frustrating, annoying misconceptions that you see and hear. What are those about yoga? One, I think we've already discussed that yoga is not just a collection of asanas.
Yes.
What more that you would like to just dispel that this is not the way to think about yoga?
Maybe an academician, researcher, or a purist who focuses only on the theoretical understanding may be put off by what I'm trying to tell is you can't offer masters in yoga as a 2-year program. It's not done. Though I feel it's introduction. It's when we are speaking that even the certification process of 1 month has to be changed. Similarly, the title means something. That is one. Second, in the academic institutions, the spirit is taken to for example, too much into the realm of science. Science is needed to ensure that whatever we are doing is not infringing on common sense. There science stops. Okay. The trust in the tradition is extremely important. So, how will you can explain this is how a soup tastes without even tasting the soup? So today's the name of questioning. People want to know everything, how it will look in the end, and then start the practice. So you have to trust someone at some point of time. So the thing which as a fraternity which is lacking is whom to trust. We don't know. So this great initiative by Indian Yoga Association, they said even for yoga therapist, Yoga Chikitsak Acharya, Yoga Chikitsak Ratna, they have opened out now, wherein people with minimum 10 years of proven credibility are being taken there. Even the second system they brought up is life membership, where someone already an eminent yogacharya would be recommending another yogacharya. This way, they are gradually trying to create a pool of proper yoga therapists who have proven ideas of minimum 10 years and above. And then the life members are those who are deep into the practice and someone can vouch for it. So they have started to do that stuff so that the short-term things are handled. Because there are many teachers in India who don't have a certificate. None of our teachers had certificate. But because we know that they are steeped in that knowledge by their very acharana, and the traditional stamp is there, we know them. So that some work is going on. So that agitation actually, which was with me till last year, I feel now there is a system to work out. Second is constantly trying to see yoga to cure disease or promising to cure the diseases. Yoga as a system is for people who are healthy. If someone is unable to sit, you can't talk to them anything. But the therapy benefits are incidental to the process. So more and more, if people and the institutions and the government agencies can focus on strengthening wellness side, they need to do less work on the therapy side. Right from how to sit in the office, how to think, how to give break and relax. So we have to start working from the root level than trying to only harvest after things have come, which is the health issues. So I feel the focus should go to the preventive and wellness side than the therapy side. Therapy is there, no doubt about it. So this is one shift which I want to see a lot, which is happening. And second, when you say IIT or IIM or a Stanford, there is a culture of tradition which is there, and a basic level of rigor is mentioned there. Similar is missing right now in the field of yoga, because everyone cannot get connected with the tradition and do. There are genuinely people who are looking out where they will go. They will go to some institute and do it. So there should be proper documented knowledge in the public domain supported by government on how to identify the teachers, who are all the institutions which are available, because some of them don't want to go and study in a group of 100. In 100 nothing happens, only you study for marks. So 10 people, 20 people, who are those teachers in India and abroad who are working like in this level? So I think genuinely Ministry of Ayush should be taking up these kind of projects, and I'm sure someone will listen and they will start doing the work. So we have knowledge, we have the tradition, we have a system which needs to handle and nurture this, maybe needs to be strengthened.
This is actually a very good point you raised. That's one of the starting ideas I had with Tathastuh. How do you assess the credibility of a system like yoga or any spiritual system like Tantra or any? How do you assess that this person or this guru, what he or she is talking about? Somebody who's, let's say, a layman in this, like you said, somebody who does not come from a lineage, not everyone can, and they want to practice yoga, and they're looking around. How do they assess? Because even in order to assess the credibility, they need some knowledge, some information, right? So I cannot, let's say, assess if somebody is a good martial arts teacher if I am a complete novice, right? Or a musician, if I don't know anything about sur, how would I assess if the guru is really good enough? So some, like you said, government should come on board, but we also wanted to do that. We also wanted to enlist curated list of teachers from all different wisdom categories, and hopefully like collaborate and get their courses, promote their courses. The idea was to bring it out to more people. So we are not, you are doing the work, we are taking it to the people. That's what I wanted to do, right? So there are different ashrams, like I visit Haridwar and Rishikesh a lot, and there are so many ashrams, so many old ashrams, and they are on the verge of being extinct, going out, like maybe in 10 years, 20 years. So I thought, can we preserve their paramparic wisdom in some way? They don't have the means to do this audio visual making course and all that. Can we find a way to preserve it and then take it to more people? There's no point if it's just there in Haridwar. There is no point, if people only visit Srimad Yoga physically, let's say 500,000, 10,000 people can visit you physically. But with the virtual, you can reach out to millions. But you yourself alone would not be able to put together that logistics. So we just wanted to be that gap, that bridge, the logistics. And we wanted to be people who understand and who I am very much part of a very strong lineage, a spiritual lineage. So I understand and respect. And I'm very curious about all the different schools of thoughts. Like you are very curious about different schools of thoughts in yoga. And and you respect all, and you're saying, okay, if you follow this, just follow this in its entirety. As a purist or as a practitioner, it's up to you. So when I thought about, like, when I met you, not physically, last time we had a chat, this was a missing piece in my business model. That what exactly is the grander vision of Tathastuh? Do we want to create these courses? No, because as we are not, I don't have a team that is a master of any discipline, right? And I don't want to hire people. So people like you, when I met you, you were already doing amazing, fantastic work. And maybe you need some help in packaging and taking it out to more people, right? One, that would involve obviously creating some courses, packaging the existing courses, but most importantly, telling people that this is a real deal.
Yes.
This is, you trust Tathastuh, so we'll build a brand where people can say, okay, if you want to understand, if you want to find a yoga teacher in Delhi, let's go there and let's see who they have. And okay, so in Bangalore we have Mr. Krishna Prakash, where you can go to Srimat Yoga, and even you, because we'll need your help in curating a list of teachers around the country. So there will be teachers around the country, hundreds probably, I don't know how many. And it'll be such a big service, because trust me, I am in Delhi NCR and I've been looking to find a yoga teacher for my mother, right? And I'm not able to find it. I'm looking to pay somebody to come to my house and work with her, take whatever fees, and I'm struggling to find one. And so I think there are a lot of people in my situation. So we need to do the work, and we also need to reach out to people. Otherwise, it will just be lost in the noise. Because trust me, there are so many great marketing brands who do not have the core authentic lineage or the wisdom, but they know how to sell. So they are reaching more people and selling stupid bad stuff, and people like you.
There are two reasons why this has happened. The moment an ashram gets into certifying people, they are coming for certification, not to be with the acharya. It little differentiates them from the direct disciples. There's a difference between a disciple and a student. People are coming to study as a student, but knowledge transfer will happen only if you are a disciple. So today I went to here, then next year somebody gave me a good offer, I go and study somewhere. So this is where even the great people whose intention is to have people with right knowledge, there is no direct connect with the teacher. Okay, that is one important thing. Second, it is next to impossible to share with hundreds of people a session like Asana, because what is good for someone is not good for others. So we get into the same army industry of batch processing, wherein culture and tradition is customized. In India, every 100 kilometer you see everything is different, climate, condition, culture, everything. So there is a fine balance which needs to be done between the mass and the class without compromising on the quality. Okay, and there is not necessary that the yoga people who are coming for yoga training need to become teachers. We need CEOs, the clerks, an assistant manager in a bank, or an entrepreneur to learn yoga as a system, not necessarily to become teachers, but to become excellent in what work they do. So if we could send this message across, that when you spend a week or 10 days or a month, you learn the nuances of yoga and the depth, it will make you a better entrepreneur, it will make you a better teacher, not necessarily a yoga teacher. Becoming a yoga teacher is divine grace, but you can consciously put effort. For that to happen, the messaging of yoga as mere set of postures has to change. It has to become yoga is a way of life, wherein we see the interconnectedness. Second, people should start seeing yoga as the step towards ultimate, which is Vedanta. So Swami Shivananda's academy itself is called Yoga Vedanta Academy. Yoga is a stepping stone to enter the portals of Vedanta. Then people have a larger goal. Through the physical body, I am reaching the non-physical realm. If this grand vision can be articulated, then many people would come on board, because asana becomes then a 10 to 12% aspect of the entire scheme of things. If I just mathematically divide 8 limbs by 100 by 8, around say 96, something like that, right? So 12.5% of a aspect of yoga, we are projecting it as 100%. So each limb is as important as another limb, correct? So higher the limb doesn't mean it is bigger and others are small, correct? It's like a vehicle is moving. That's comfortable seating, the air condition, everything makes sense only when there is pressure in the air, the tire what we are using to drive. That's because it is in connection with the road and we are sitting in the comfort of the air conditioned chamber of the vehicle, doesn't demean the value of the tire. So this, like every limb of yoga has its space. So that messaging has to be clear. Second is people should start seeing even yoga teacher training as their inner teacher's training, not to become a yoga teacher. So people from all walks of life at the expense of a simple holiday, beach holiday, can understand the aspects of themselves. Finally, people should be made to see the value that yoga is a stepping stone to Vedanta. It doesn't stop there, it is your entry ticket. If these things are done, I'm sure, as you precisely said, it is the right messaging. People are ready, teachers are ready. There is the messaging is not happening in the proper way. And everything is taken up and blown into a business model. It is not a t-shirt that 40 size t-shirt I'll produce 10 lakhs, 42 I'll produce 6 lakhs. I do a demographic study and do. It doesn't work that way. But there is a balance because the systems should come from the modern management. But the way Vidya is distributed should be based on the patrata of the individual. Correct? For that only, these robust systems and the right messaging will help.
Absolutely, absolutely. When I started meditation properly, and this is again something a lot of people would identify. I got introduced to meditation by a British guy who had visited India, and it's ironical because I was there studying in England, and we got chatting, and he said, "Okay, so you do meditation?" And I was like, "No," and we got chatting, and he was quite elderly, and so he taught me what he learned, and I started following it like a parrot, right? Like most people are using the apps or the meditation courses. So now after 20 years, I can summarize the problem, and that is also the problem with learning yoga. I think the world over. I started learning meditation just trying to. First, it was just trying to focus, different techniques, trying to focus on your breath, I was trying to learn it by focusing on techniques. I never thought seriously about going deeper, the deeper aspects of meditation. What is it for? Why for? Where are we heading? Or, nothing about it, just the techniques, different techniques, Vipassana, this, that, mantra chanting, Tibetan sound, just techniques. So went through hundreds of techniques. Osho's Vigyan, Bhairav Tantra, 120, I don't know, different, so many meditations. And then I came across 3 years ago, my spiritual guru Om Swami, and he talks about the 10,000 hours rule. And he says, once you've done at least 1,000 hours of sitting, if you can sit and you come back and you say, okay, I've tried meditating and I can sit for a couple of hours, and then started going backwards. So he was like, forget techniques. Can you sit for an hour? Can you sit for half an hour? And there are room full of people. And he would go, we are here for last 20 minutes and I don't think any one of you has sat quietly for 20 minutes. So you can't even sit quietly for 20 minutes. So try just doing that. Forget everything else. And then he went through the entire 8 limbs of yoga and he says, this is where asana comes in. And that's the whole idea of that if you can't even just sit, you're trying to practice for Olympic gold while you can't even just stay still for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So trying to quietening your mind, you need to first quieten your body. Nobody talked about that. And now it sounds like the common sense, simplest idea. And that's when he said that's why you need to practice your asana. Even if someone's saying, okay, sit on the chair and do meditation. at least sit quietly. Can you sit quietly for 10 minutes and ask? And he was like, he gave us the exercise right there, and 10 minutes was like a nightmare. We I couldn't sit for 10 minutes. I have two kids, just forget everything else, yoga, spirituality, meditation, sadhana. Just ask your kids to start sitting quietly for 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 20, and you'll see they'll gradually move towards the next pedestal. They'll themselves move. Then if they're able to quietly sit for 10 minutes, then you introduce a mantra, they'll be able to do the chanting. 10, 15, 20. And I have seen this, sir, when I was, this cultural movement that you're talking about, that people are ready. We just need to adopt it. I've seen this in China. How everyone is so, respectful of martial arts. In the morning, I've seen people practicing this Tai Chi. So initially, I didn't know. The old people, they were doing these Tai Chi movements. It was meditative just to watch, and I looked at it and I was like, what is this stupidity? They're just moving, and it's hard. I couldn't do it. And it's like 5 years ago, I was very fit. I used to go to gym and all that, and I couldn't do those movements with that grace and poise and stillness. And everyone I talk to, they practice some form of martial arts, not as a warrior form or a fighting thing, but as their meditation, as their cultural, aspect, and they respected it, and it's there, and that's why everyone looks so fit and everyone looks so. That's what we want to do with yoga, and our Prime Minister has done it. So, do you agree with this? This meditation's been taught everywhere, apps, this, that, courses. But nobody, I have taken so many courses, nobody told me to try sitting for 10 minutes, just quietly. And that's like, without that, how can you meditate? Nobody, have you not noticed that? So many meditation programs, and I've like paid tons, and they were like, okay, sit comfortably. And then they move on to the next thing. And sit comfortably is what? I can lie down on my bed, or I can be in a leaning chair. Nobody talked about erect spine. And keeping a spine erect for 10 minutes is a nightmare. It's a hard job. For people who work in offices, people who are like on chairs for 10 hours, I can bet in Delhi NCR or in the metros, you pick any 10 people from the crowd and ask them to sit erect for 10 minutes, they cannot. And that is a pandemic level problem. Don't you agree with that?
That's due to the sitting disease itself. The way they work, they sit. And another thing, it's heavily marketed, walking meditation, this meditation, that meditation. So it could have a meditative feel. A meditative feel doesn't mean it's meditation. Watching a sunrise gives you a meditative feel because you are completely present, but that is still happening outside of us. This has to happen inside. And without steadiness, no process can happen. Like overnight at homes, we make curds. The milk is a bit warm. Like that, the body has to be a bit warm, and that catalyst, which is curd, is dropped and stirred, and it is kept still overnight. To enjoy a cup of curd, we need stillness overnight, or at least 2 to 3 hours.
That's such a beautiful analogy. That's such an apt. Yes.
So if our body is a vessel which is holding this final product called curd, which is meditation, you need to keep the body still. And then you will ask, I am now still, what is next? So Swami Shivananda says, asana gives you steadiness. And then with that steadiness, you practice pranayama, it gives you a sense of lightness. Because you are not sitting like X, Y, Z, prana goes in straight line. And your body is absolutely steady and it's ready to receive. Then that pranayama practice may help the convergence of the mind from the sense inputs. After that, you need to know how to handle with the sense inputs. Then the fifth limb of yoga comes in and tells everything is happening the way it is supposed to happen. And again, the analogy which I gently use, that you are standing on a seashore. You have no control over the height of the wave, the power of the wave, what the wave is going to do to you. A huge wave may come near you like a pet dog. A small wave may suddenly come up and push you down. Mind is same. So you just be in the beach, and how you are enjoying this waves, you need to start enjoying, and don't label the mind as monkey, donkey. because it surprises that many accomplished teachers use this kind of an analogy.
Monkey mind, yes.
I tell them, you are demeaning the monkey. Monkey, it is our mind. So, off late, what I have been doing is telling people you treat your mind like your own child. With respect to spiritual processes, we are all children. And how a child behaves, if you treat the mind with all the love and kindness, the mind is going to respond to you, because what you sow, so you reap. If you try to suppress it, if you try to artificially say, how can I have this thought? There is no solution, because we are not a linear thinking people.
Yes.
For us, life is cyclical. So the thought which is occurring to you now, you don't know in which lives you thought about it, the fruit of what life. And even in this life, when have you thought about it? So if you go to the why and how, nothing is possible. What has to be done, whatever happens, be like a traffic policeman or someone enjoying the waves in the sea. Whatever happens, let it happen. That witness bhava strengthens when someone is good in pranayama and move to pratyahara. And then that person understands that all they need to do is, you have beautifully put in that steadiness. When this conceptual understanding of pratyahara and the ability to be steady is there, concentration has to happen, it has no choice. And then meditation, all those things are only just a result of perfection of the earlier limb of yoga. That is why all the limbs of yoga have their place exactly defined by God. Overnight, I tell people nothing is possible. If you are alive, sunrise can be seen. Overnight, you can't get your Kundalini awakened, you cannot get enlightenment. It can happen if you are a Ramana Maharshi. First, to become clear, who are you? And stillness of mind, don't flog yourself. Only a jnani and a dead body have no thought process. We are all in between. The travel is somewhere. So accept mind by nature is going to have 5 types of vrittis. Don't reinvent the wheel. Patanjali has clearly explained. So whatever you think can only be amongst this 5, and one of that is sleep. So even when you are doing your meditation process, you feel sleepy, the back of the mind know sleep is also one of the vritti. Find out why it is happening instead of cursing yourself. I only got one opportunity, I slept off. Because what brings seed for future, no? So that kindness, the self, the love we should have for the process and the tradition and for our own self. If we can't be kind to ourselves and we expect everybody to be kind to us. So this is the mindset which has to develop when someone starts the practice from Yama Niyama. And going ahead, everything is a cosmic plan. When someone will get deeper states of meditation, when someone is getting into samadhi, is not in our hands. Ours is process. Are we perfecting the process? So this way we are seeing things actually.
This is wonderful. This is wonderful. You're right that the sequential gradually moving up to the next level. And initially you said that you have to trust the teacher, because if I'm starting out and I want to know what would happen in 1 year's time, I do not have the knowledge or the wisdom to actually perceive it. If I, like you said, if I haven't tasted the soup, how can you explain it to me? How does it feel like? So trusting the teacher and trusting the process. And I think to get people started, because let's not be, let's understand that people would only adopt something if they feel there is some benefit for them in it, whether it's meditation or sadhana or yoga. And so I have, again, because I was fortunate to have found the right teacher in the right time. It was supposed to happen, prarabdha. And I never tried any mantra sadhana or any meditation before that, not in that way, not in a spiritual way. I tried meditation in mindfulness. So I was very skeptic. And in our spiritual tradition, we are given different sadhanas. We can pick and do whatever. There is no one sadhana you have to do. So we are suggested to start with Gayatri sadhana and then Ganesh. So I've Gayatri from a very young age. We've been doing Gayatri mantra every day in my household. So it was taken for granted. I was and our guru says that this is the most powerful mantra you can chant. And I was I've been chanting it for I don't know, 30 years. And so then for the first time, I followed the process like you're talking about. So there is a process in our lineage, in every parampara, in every school of thought. So I understand that I will completely follow it, bullet point by bullet point, and then just do it and give it. It's asking for 40 days of Purush Charan. I cannot do for 40 days, so I'll do it for 20 days. There is an option for that, or 11 days. So I picked 20 days. I followed exactly what was told, waking up at this time, following the dietary requirements, even though I did not believe in most of the stuff that was told. But I said, if I need to get into this, I need to follow the rules. These are the rules of the game. Most people, whenever they're doing yoga or meditation or any spiritual practice, they bend the rules to their will or to their comfort. And that is where I think the whole idea of sadhana is. The yam and the niyam, the discipline is, right? Because most of us are not disciplined at all in anything we're doing in our lives. So I followed it. It was incredibly hard. For the first time, I would wake up before sunrise and do exactly I was told. Chanted the mantra. I found it incredibly hard to sit for more than 15-20 minutes cross-legged. But surprisingly, just a few days, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, I could sit for 45 days. And I was conscious that I don't have to move. I didn't want to move much. I could just change the legs, and I chanted, and the whole experience after 20 days, it didn't take me more than a few days to realize the power of that entire process. I was blown away. I was so blown away that I could feel charged 24/7, and I couldn't stop talking about this to people. Though that was something we were told to keep quiet, don't. But everyone I met, and I was like, oh, you should do Gayatri Mantra Sadhana. That's so. So I've experienced the power of the process that you're talking about, and I've experienced the trust. I put the trust in the Guru's process completely. So if we just do that, trust the Guru and trust the process, give it some time, the magic is just waiting to happen. It's just incredible that we have access to that magic, and we are still skeptics. And again, that has to do, like you said, not everyone will come on board. Prarabdha and divine intervention and all that. But those who are sitting on the fence and waiting and clueless, so we'll help them cross the barrier.
One advantage we have today is certain basic scientific studies are already available. I am of a firm belief that if you want to do something, you need only one reason to do it. And if you want to not do it, again, one reason is enough for denying it. So people can pick up a lot of NCBI and other reports on pranayama techniques, efficacy of asana. Then it is just time and the grace they will get into the practice. I feel today is much easy to get into this because science is a starting point of spirituality. But if you reverse it, it is not possible. You can't see every science in every aspect because science deals only in the levels of perception of five senses. And what is going to happen is beyond. And you can't explain transformation with science unless you have undergone. So science is a starting point. Thanks to foundations like NIMHANS here or Menninger Foundation in the US, and many universities are taking up the study. So the one who is interested, even before approaching a teacher, could study about certain reports given on asana practice, pranayama practice, and then they keep preparing themselves. And I'm very sure, like in an earnest student's case, they will naturally, the teacher will identify them and they will be able to connect with the teacher. It's the preparation which is the key. And popularly, we all used to that analogy of sharpening the axe. Sharpening the axe takes more time, cutting it takes a second. So we have to be so prepared that the teacher is able to cut through our ignorance in a second. So onus is on us. The teacher is always there. So the onus is on the sadhak or the seeker or the sincere aspirant. They have to do the research. See, for example, if I want to buy a bike, I want to buy a car, the amount of research and dialogues we have is so much. But when you see a fancy advertisement of a spiritual course, People just jump into it. There's no research which is done. So the same research mentality of questioning should go in taking a step, because this journey of self-discovery, you are asking someone to get inside without verifying them. So the scientific mentality has to be there in everything, not selectively when you go only to study about spirituality. So that is the basis. And if somebody is earnest, the teacher and tradition are always there. They will start seeing it.
When the student is ready,
Teacher will appear.
the master appears. Yes. That is so true. Amazing. I think we've had a pretty long discussion, very fruitful, and I always take these sessions primarily to help me understand the issue to the core. I'm very inquisitive about a lot of things, and because I have experienced them, tried to learn them over the years, and my experiences of success and failures, like with meditation, with yoga and spirituality, from skepticism to becoming a sadhak, that has been my journey. So I can talk about how I felt being ignorant and confident about it, and now getting into the flow of things and humbler. As I move forward, I feel humbler, experiencing that there is an ocean of knowledge out there. And one, it is a little scary, but two, it is so beautiful because it will never end. The learning will never end. I think that is one of the greatest fears of human mind, that this happiness will be gone. I'm enjoying this moment or this car or this luxury or this money, and this will be gone. But when you're looking at the spiritual ocean of wisdom, and so it will never end. Like I'm learning classical flute, and so I play a bit of music. I love music very much. I never learned it formally, even though in my family there are a lot of classical musicians. My mother, my maternal auntie, my grandfather, but I never learned it. They tried teaching me, but I didn't. So I picked up. So thankfully, I picked up the sur. So I at least understand sur and the asur. And so I played guitar when I was in England, and I recently started playing classical flute so that I could understand the Shastriya Sangeet, the nuances and all that. And there is a specific Hari Prasad Chaurasia track that I used to listen. I loved it for, 25 years. It's a Rag Pahari, and so I used to listen to it. And when I started learning the flute, few months, about 6, 8, 10 months, 12 months, suddenly one day I was listening to this Rag Pahari, and I heard completely different notes. That was my eureka moment. That with wisdom, that's how you see the world, experience the world differently. The same track, same thing that I'd been learning. But now when I learned a bit about some more nuances, some more Sur Sadhana, I can hear different things in the same track. And I get appreciated much, much more, because now I know how difficult it is what he's doing, how he's playing, how incredibly difficult it is. So I become humbler. When you start learning anything, you become a bit more cocky and confident. You try to show off, see, I can play this filmy tune. And as you go forward, I started to feel that I will not be able to learn it in my 10 lifetimes. There are so many ragas, it's so much, it's the ocean. That is exactly the same experience I have sitting in front of the Guru. He says, don't worry about the 10,000 hours. That is just to test you. So once you get there, you'll realize there are million hours, millions and millions and millions of hours, and it will never end. So it's such a beautiful, I think what I experienced as a logical person and as a spiritual person, so it feels so good that whatever you talked about ticks all the right check boxes that I've been thinking about yoga and yoga teachers and how it should be. But because I'm not qualified or experienced enough to say these things in the public forum, you said all those things that I completely agree about the need of acquiring yoga for every one of us, the need for the yoga teachers for more dedication and service rather than quick fix certifications. It's not a commercial road to quick success. It's a sadhana, and it's a great responsibility. It's like you are going to be a rishi, so you need to spend in, and it'll be extremely lucky and fortunate for you to be handed down this path. So it's a privilege. So if you want to earn money by becoming a yoga teacher or coming into this yoga ecosystem, then please do something else. There's so many different ideas in the world. This is keep it. This is a spiritual ecosystem. So let's keep it that way. So if you want to make a business model, like with Tathastu, we want to make it a business model not to earn money, but primarily to reach out to the people out there. And because I understand, and you also understand, that we need commercials to run this. We need a system of commercials to run this. But there has to be a balance. So it is not going to be revenue heavy and at the expense of the spiritual and mystical aspects of it. So let's keep yoga what it is, in the purest, authentic, spiritual, acute wisdom that we are fortunate to be even talking about, and you're fortunate to be discussing. And I will have to get back to you to help me get started properly, remotely, if that can happen. On that note, sir, it's a privilege. It's been a privilege talking about this in such a no-nonsense, completely open-minded manner. And it's a rarity where someone can be open-minded, commonsensical, frank, and at the same time very spiritually balanced about it. So you preserve the balance of both sides, the material world as well as the spiritual world.
Great. As I said, it's all the grace of the divine and the masters.
It's all
We are just a conduit.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes, we're just the mediums. We're just the mediums, yes. Cool. So I would like to tell everyone who's watching the episode that Srimad Yoga in the middle of, I haven't been there, but I have seen the pictures in the middle of beautiful Bangalore forests. It's a place to be, and there are very many retreats that happen from time to time. There are many programs. We'll share the link right there on the website on the screen. Contact details for Krishna sir. You can get in touch. And yoga se hi hoga. We have to get it done. We used to say this in school that yoga humse nahi hoga, but yoga se hi hoga. Whosoever gave that dialogue, let's not go there. So let's all go for yoga and find our. On that note, I would like to again thank you very much, Krishna sir. Thank you.